Welcome back to another episode. Kimberly Denise here. I just want to thank you for tuning in and honor you for taking time out of your day to not just listen to me, right? But really, what you're doing as you're listening to these podcasts is you're investing into yourself, right? You're taking a piece of your day and you're saying, I'm going to invest this time into learning how I can make myself better, how I can get further along in life, how can I elevate myself? How can I elevate my mind? How can I elevate my vibration, my frequency to a new level? How can I discover something new about myself, about the world, about the universe, and begin applying it to my life? So I just want to thank you for having you here. As usual, my whole intention with these podcasts is delivering the most value in the shortest period of time because I know exactly if you're anything like me, you're busy, you have kids, you might run a business, you might have things that keep you busy literally every minute of the day. I know for me, there's really rarely ever a dull moment, right? Every moment of the day I have something to be doing, something needs to be done, and I'm always on the go, right? So I assume that you're probably in that same boat. So my intention is to pack as much value in a short period of time so that way you can just boom, tune into these, make a habit out of tuning into the podcast and know that you're going to get valuable chunks of information that you can go out and start implementing immediately in your life right away. So today we're going to be talking about the power of having a daily routine and specifically an AM routine. And I personally, really quick side note, I don't use the word morning anymore in my vocabulary for a couple of different reasons. This could be a whole other podcast episode in and of itself, but I was doing some research a couple of months ago on the English language. I came across an article, right, on the English language and on word magic, and you wouldn't believe the amount of words that are in the English language that are set up as spells that are actually working against us. So one of them is the word mourning. So if you look up the word mourning, mourning actually means to mourn, right? So you're like grieving a death, or you're like mourning. It's something of a negative, um, has a negative connotation, right? And so then you ask yourself, why in the English language did they label the first part of our day as morning, right? Monday morning, or if you're in a job, which the word job also means oppressed. There's so many. I could go down a whole rabbit hole. I'm not going to do it on this podcast. But what I'm going to say is I don't use the word. So now you'll hear me use referring to AM, or I'll say rising or something like that. And it's taken a little bit of discipline on my end to get used to not saying that. Like I do not say good morning to people, right? Because you're literally saying something that's not conducive. You're literally saying something that's not productive or building someone up, right? Hopefully I'm not taking it a little too far with that. Just for me, I it makes sense to me that I want to use my words wisely because I do believe in the power and the intention behind words and language, and that they are creative and that they do create, right? So anyways, back to the whole point. So we're going to talk about creating a rising routine or an AM routine. So the very first part of your day is the most important part of your day. Why is that? Because if you are intentional with the beginning of your day, it's literally going to lead the way for the rest of your day, right? And I don't think I really need to convince you of this. You probably already know, and you've probably have had a time, maybe recently even, where something happened in the beginning of the day in your life. Something happened in the beginning of the day and it was stressful or it was negative, right? And then what happened? Was that day a really, really great day? Was it a productive day? Was it like one of the best days that you had? Probably not, right? So if we have negative things, and I need to unlock my laptop for some reason, it just locked up on me. Let me do it real quick. Weird. That hasn't happened before. Okay, I'm just making sure my battery's not dying. Okay, cool. So you already know if you begin your day in a negative fashion or something happens and you're not really like mentally prepared, which most of us aren't if we're not trained to be, right? What do? We get up in the day, we wake up, and we just, boom, immediately start the day. I know back in 2012, when I was just learning how to gain control of my life, right? I would just wake up to an alarm. And the first thing in my day, I would hear that alarm and I would hear like, or whatever sound it was. And immediately hearing that sound was already a negative for me, right? Because it meant, number one, I needed to wake up and I didn't want to wake up. Number two, it meant that I needed to get up and start getting ready for work, which I didn't want to do also. I did not want to be living like that. I didn't want to wake up and go to a job and go to work every single day. I wanted to work for myself, you know. I didn't want to just go through that routine of like having to live in a way that I just did not desire. And so the whole framing of my day in the first beginning of the day was negative, right? So I want you to think about it. The first part, and if you have I encourage you to grab a pen and paper, you probably already have one, right? So the first most important part of your day is the moment you realize you're awake. So you're laying there in bed, right? You're sleeping. And then as you realize or start to pay attention, before you even open your eyes, you kind of know, like, oh, okay, I'm waking up. Unless you wake up to an actual alarm and then you're waking up by the shock of hearing the alarm, right? So no matter what way that you wake up, whenever you realize, okay, I'm awake, you have that thought to yourself or that awareness, immediately what you need to do is take control of your conscious mind and put it onto something positive. So the last episode we talked about gratitude. If you missed it, I highly encourage you to tune in as soon as you can and get that download of how you can start implementing gratitude into your life. So the immediately when you wake up, tap into that feeling we talked about, that gratitude, that appreciation, just for your life, for whatever. You know, thank you that I woke up again today. Thank you for another opportunity to change my life. Thank you that I'm awake, that I'm healthy, that I'm well, that I'm here and I'm here for my family. I'm here to experience another day. Thank you for another opportunity to change my life and to serve my family and to spend time with my family and to make an impact and whatever. Go on your own little short gratitude spree of everything you can think of that you're grateful right in that moment. Just but tap into what you want to do ultimately, is we're always searching for that feeling of appreciation, right? You don't want to wake up and the first thing you think about is, oh God, I gotta pay that bill, or oh God, I gotta deal with this debt today, or oh, I gotta go here. Or even if you are going to a job and you're working, oh, dang it, I gotta go to work. Even if that is the reality and the truth of the situations that you're dealing with, what you want to do is, this is all about taking back your power, taking back the conscious control that you have over your own mind, because that ultimately is what's going to lead you into the transformation of your experience, the transformation of your life, the transformation of you having a new life and a new experience. Because right now, if you're experiencing a life that feels like you're out of control, feels like you're not really designing it, you feel like it's kind of happening to you, you feel like you keep having experiences and circumstances that are just happening, and you feel like you're a victim of your reality, the reality is you kind of are, right? Because you haven't been intentional, you haven't been taught, you haven't learned, you haven't seeked out the information as of yet as to how can I think in a way, and how can I be in a way, and how can I be intentional in the creation of my own life. But that's why you're here tapped into these podcasts, right? To learn that. And that's why I'm here creating this, to help you learn the necessary skills and ways to do that, right? So you want to gain conscious control of what you think of the first thing that you wake up. You want to gain control over what you're thinking about. You do not want to go immediately into any type of stress or negativity. And trust me, I understand how easy it is to go right into that, especially if you have urgent, pressing matters. And especially if the night before, that was the last thing you were thinking about. So I'll give you a little hack on going to bed as well at the end of this podcast. So stick to the end. You want to control it. And the cool thing is you can control it. And once you realize, you're like, hey, you know what? My life's stressful. I have things that I've been worried about. I have things that I've been concerned about. But you know what? Wow, you know what? It's true. I can choose what I focus on. I can choose what I think about. I can choose the attention that where I put my attention, and I can choose the thoughts that I want to think. Now, it doesn't mean that a negative thought isn't going to cross our mind, but we can choose we can choose what we want to magnify. We can choose the thoughts that we want to hold on to and magnify, and we can choose to go ahead and set the other ones aside and say, you know what? No, those thoughts are not serving me anymore. They're only keeping me broke. They're only keeping me limited. They're only keeping me sick. They're only keeping me struggling. They're only keeping me in a place where I don't want to be anymore. I'm going to choose a new thought and a new way of thinking, right? So that's point number one. Okay. The next point, now there's many different modalities and many different teachings and many different books and authors and all these things. One of the most popular ones is The Miracle Morning, right? Which is kind of like a funny play on words now that we're talking about the word morning, right? But it's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And that's how I first discovered all of this, on how important a daily AM routine can be for you, the first hour that you're awake, how impactful it can be in your life if you can create a habit of making that first hour of time or that first bit of time very intentional and purposeful, all about you and your growth and your intention and what it is that you want to create. So they recommend something like waking up at 5 a.m. and spending the first hour and sectioning it off into different things that has to do with, part of it's move your body, and the other part of it is to meditate. And I don't follow any specific structure, but I just follow what has come from me. Now, I started this process in 2017 officially. I started learning about journaling, and I started learning about the miracle morning and the importance of having an AM routine. And a lot of the coaches and mentors that I was following, they really were adamant about it. So I was like, all right, I need to start doing this too. So I was pregnant with Adonai, my second son. He's 4 now. I was pregnant with him, and I started where I knew to start, right? So I started getting up. I started, I would go make a coffee and get water or whatever, and then I'd go sit down and I'd grab my journal. And this is where I first started journaling. I first started to discover the power of journaling in my life. So I would sit down and I would just start to write out goals, and I would just make lists. I would make a list of like what I was grateful for, right? So you already had thought about it in your mind when you got up. So now you're going to go, and I'm going to recommend that you have a journaling practice where you actually put it down onto paper and just write at least 3 things, 5 things. You can write as much as you want, but at least 3 to 5 things that you're very grateful for that day. And what happens is you're further cementing that feeling and that vibration in and within yourself by writing it out. Okay? These are all, everything that we do is a tool to tune yourself energetically. It's really ultimately what all of this stuff is, right? You're always wanting to tune your frequency and tap your frequency deeper in and higher into the frequency that you want to be in, so you can experience more abundance, more prosperity, more joy, more happiness and fulfillment in your life. That's the whole goal, right? So your gratitude. I wrote out my gratitude, and then I started to make out goals lists and things that I want to achieve. And then I learned the power, and this is going to be a separate episode because it can go deep. The power of writing out how you want to feel about yourself and what you want to accomplish and how you want to be. And I call this my I am, right? And it's, you may have heard or you may not have heard, but the word I am is the most powerful phrase. Whatever you put after that statement, I am, is going to become your destiny, is going to become your reality, is going to become your self-fulfilling prophecy. So, number one, being intentional over what comes after that word. When you think of that, I am whatever, I am blank, I am fill in the blank. What's coming to your mind right now? If it's things that are negative, if it's I'm sick, I'm unhealthy, I'm overweight, I'm broke, I'm stupid, I'm unworthy, I'm not special, I'm this, I'm that. Trust me, I was there too. If it's negative things, then you're seeding that negative energy into your life, into all the different areas of your life, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to be intentional with our goals. We want to be intentional with the things that we want to feel, even. Like, I had no idea before I started this stuff, right? And learning about inner work. I had no idea that I could just choose who I wanted to be. You can literally, if you're sitting here listening to the sound of my voice, I want you to know this. You can choose who you want to be. You can choose how you want to feel, and you can choose the thoughts that you want to think. And it all comes from within you and whatever you decide, right? So society, your family, your spouse, your life circumstances, your whatever, church, upbringing, parents, whoever, whatever, life, right? Up till this point has told you who you are, what you're worth, how life has to be, right? Up until this point. But now you're deciding to become a deliberate creator. That means that you can start choosing from this moment forward who it is that you want to be. And so, who is it that you want to be? So, I encourage you to write out, after your gratitude, write out, I am. And you start choosing things that you want to define yourself. You are what? Confident, prosperous, beautiful, worthy, intelligent, a genius, write out all these things that it doesn't matter if you truly believe it now. What is it that you truly want to be? Because that information is within your soul. Now, you probably don't think that it's feasible. You might not think that it's possible, or you might think that, like, how is this possible? How's it going to happen? I'm going to write out I'm a millionaire. I'm going to write out that I'm prosperous when I'm broke or my bank account's in the negative. It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense to our logical mind, but this is literally how it works, right? So you have to decide what you want. You have to claim, you have to declare it, you have to decide, and you have to implant it into your mind, which is going to implant it into the universe, which is going to turn around and start delivering you the experience that reflects those things that you're choosing for yourself, right? And that you're deciding for yourself, right? So your I ams, and then goals and intentions. Is there something that you have a goal for? Do you want to achieve something? Do you want to release some weight? You want to make more money? You want to get a new business idea, start a new business, improve your business, improve your relationship, whatever it is, right? Write out a few intentions, a few goals of things that you would want to improve. Next, you want to, after the journaling, right? So the journaling can consist of your gratitude, your intentions, your goals, your I am statements. Hi, bud, I'm doing a podcast. Then you want to take a little bit of time for yourself. My son just woke up. I'm like in the far corner of the back of the house. Then he bursted in here right now. So that's what that was. Anyways, so take some time for yourself. Okay. This could be doing some movement. This is where you can say, okay, I'm going to take 10, 20, 30 minutes. It all depends on how much time you have. Like if you don't have, and I'm going to retract. It all depends on how much time you can make for yourself. So another hack that can be a podcast episode in and of itself, right? Is realizing, yes, we all have 24 hours of time. We have to decide how we're going to use that time and how we're going to invest that time. Start looking at it as you're not spending time, but you're investing time. And you have to make time for yourself. Today might be that day where you make a decision like, hey, you know what? I have to start making time for myself at the beginning of the day. This has got to be a must for me. That's what it was for me. I knew that if I didn't start doing it, that if I just continued to live my days on accident and wasn't purposeful and intentional with my days, that the results that I was getting, it was just going to stay the same or be worse. And that's the truth, right? If you don't make a change in the area of your life that you want to make a change in, you're not just going to stay the same. It's probably going to get worse, right? Because of the state of the world, because everything is perpetual, right? So if you're having negative thoughts and you're in a negative state of being, it's just going to continue to perpetuate, and you're just going to be on a downward spiral, downward, right? And there's a law in the universe actually that everything is always moving. Nothing is ever staying still. So we're either always moving forward or we're moving backwards. So if we're not building ourselves, growing ourselves, feeding ourselves, investing into ourselves and our growth, we're actually declining. We're actually going backwards. So that's the cost of not doing all this kind of work, right? Is we're going to go backwards. We're not just going to stay the same. It's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to continue to get worse, right? So that should be the motivation enough of like saying, all right, here it is. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the change. I'm going to make the commitment to myself. So taking some time for yourself. That could be, I encourage you, I'm telling you, this could be another podcast, and this will be another podcast in and of itself to do with self-love, right? But give yourself a foot massage, like do some dry brushing and even a quick rinse off in the shower, like a hot rinse off where you're just like really giving gratitude to your body, washing yourself, and then you moisturize yourself after. Like that's something that you can do for yourself, right? And as moms, how often do we like not take the time to really do the things that we need to do for ourselves? Like take a nice shower, shave our legs, like whatever it is for you that you're like, if I did that, that would be something for me, and I could do that, and I could commit to that daily. Or it could look like something different each and every day, but do something that's going to just, the key here, what's going to make you feel good? What can you do that will make yourself feel good? What can you do for yourself that means that you're taking time for you and you're making yourself special? And then the fourth point is some form of meditation. If you don't have a meditation practice, yet, I highly encourage you to start one and start wherever you are. Now, I want you to know that my routine is not going to look like your routine, and your routine is not going to look like the next woman's routine or person's routine. And if you're trying to like take someone else's routine and you think, oh, I have to do exactly what they're doing in order to succeed, you're setting yourself up for a failure and disappointment because your life is unique to you. First of all, you're a unique person. You have a unique family set up. You have your own lifestyle. You have whatever you do as a profession, or maybe if you're stay at home mom, like your whole environment and lifestyle is unique to you. And so someone else's routine, what works for me, might not work for you, but the whole intention is that you're hitting the pillars of this. You're getting the foundation, right? You're making time for yourself. You're making sure you take control of your thoughts the first thing in the day, and you're hitting the gratitude. You're tapping into that appreciation. You're setting down your intentions and your goals. You're deciding who you're going to be today and for the rest of your life, right? You're writing out your I am statements. You're taking that time for yourself. Now, sometimes for me, if I get up early enough in the day, now here was one of my biggest struggles for the longest time. I'm a breastfeeding mom. I've always been a breastfeeding mom, right? And a co-sleeping mom as well. So I've got kids in my bed, usually a baby's on my boob, right? So one of the biggest struggles for me was being able to detach myself literally, physically from the baby and rolling myself off of the bed without the baby and the kids and everyone else waking up and doing it in a fashion where I can like sneak out of the room and literally go to my own corner of the place and have my own space. So for the longest time, I was just so discouraged. I just didn't do it. I was just like, no, this is too hard. Every time I try to wake up, like she wakes up and then she's crying or he's crying or whatever, like the whole, you know how it is if you have babies or if you have had them. And so I allowed that to stop me for the longest time. So you have to work with where you are. So when Nevaeh, which is our youngest, which she's 2 and she's still co-sleeping, still nursing, but when she was younger, I was like, all right, I have to meditate. I have to get mindful in my mind while I'm in bed. So I would wake up, she would be literally nursing, and then I'd be laying there and I would go into my gratitude. And then sometimes if I wasn't able to, unlatch her and sneak off of the bed without her, I would have to take 100% responsibility, not be a victim in the circumstance, say, okay, I have to either try to do some form of meditation right here in the bed while I'm still nursing her, or take her out there with me and put her on my pillow and nurse her on my pillow, which by the way, I'm actually I'm actually in the process of creating a nursing meditation collection. And these are going to be meditations that you can do while you're nursing your baby, because I realize that so many times as nursing moms, we just can't find that moment where we're not holding the baby or the baby's not on us or something like that. And we might make that the excuse. I know that, like I said, that was one of my highest challenges. So I'm going to create this collection, and I'm in the middle of it right now, of short meditations that you can do while you're nursing your baby, so that way you can still tap into that level that you need to tap into through meditation. So the reason why it's so important is because you are quieting your mind, okay? You are slowing down the logical thought process so you can actually have conscious thoughts, so you can actually receive from God, the universe, source, whatever label you want to put yourself. Because like I mentioned in the last episode, we have literally thousands, multiples of thousands of thoughts per day that cross our mind. And if we're never taking a moment to just quiet or even to just pay attention, here's where you can start, right? If you haven't started a meditation practice, take 5 minutes, set a timer, take 5 minutes, go somewhere outside, inside, doesn't matter, but somewhere where you can have like no distractions from kids and anyone else. And just concentrate on something. You can close your eyes or you can keep your eyes open, but just concentrate on one thing. If you're going to close your eyes, just concentrate on a phrase. Sometimes I just concentrate on thank you. Thank you. You can put on some music, put on some tones or something, but just sit there and concentrate on the one phrase of thank you. Or if you're outside, you can just concentrate on the tree and just look at the tree and just stare at the tree and concentrate at the tree for only 5 minutes. Okay. But what this is going to show you is how many times you lose concentration. You could tell yourself at the beginning of the 5 minutes, all I'm going to say is thank you in my mind. Thank you. Thank you. And you know what starts to happen? Your mind wanders. You start to think about this over here. You start to think about what you're going to do after and what you're going to cook. What do you need to make? And all these thoughts start to come to you. But it's proof. It shows you like, wow, my mind is so busy and so full of random thinking and thoughts that I don't even realize that I'm thinking. No wonder my life experience doesn't reflect something that I want it to because how out of control my thoughts are, right? So meditation can help you become aware first and foremost. I'll just share with you the benefits for me. The benefits for me have been I've become aware of where my mind goes when I'm just unconscious and I'm just going about my day. I become conscious of, wow, I didn't know I was thinking that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that I have that pattern. Oh, I didn't realize that I have that emotional pattern where like every time X, Y, and Z happens, I start to feel a certain way. You're going to become more aware of you, yourself, how you think, your patterns of thinking and feeling and being, right? So that way you can choose. You want to hold on to that stuff or do you want to let it go? A big part of this whole game of deliberate creation and creating your own reality and manifesting what it is that you want is becoming aware of what is already and then deciding, do you want to keep it or do you want to let it go and replace it with something else, right? Your brain, your mind is literally a computer that can be programmed and it affects your entire reality and life experience, right? So meditation, start somewhere. Do a little 5-minute meditation, a 1-minute meditation. Like if you're in the bathroom and that's the only place that you can get with your alone time, right? Sometimes as moms, that is the like, I'll be back. I'm about to go to the bathroom. Leave me alone. You lock the door. They might be on the other side, but maybe you can put on some headphones and you're in the bathroom. No one's bothering you. 5 minutes. Boom. There you go. Like find the time, be creative and don't think. The most important thing is don't think your life, your routine, what you do has to look like someone else's. It doesn't. Okay. Your experience is going to look exactly and fit exactly into your life, how it fits. And that's going to be perfect for you. And that's going to work for you. The more that you can enjoy the things that you do and the ways that you do it, the more it can be comfortable and fit in with you and you can just be yourself, be authentic, be comfortable, be creative, express yourself. The more you can lean into that, the more you're going to be able to tap into the most a level of abundance in your life and in whatever it is you're trying to create. So I hope you got value out of this episode. If you're on YouTube, drop in the comments below. What was your number one takeaway? What changes are you going to make? And what is already working for you? If you're somebody that's already doing this type of stuff, let us know. Share in the comments below. We would love to create a community and just share with each other what's working for us and really help and support each other. And of course, as always, if you got value from this, please share it with somebody that you love and care about, because when you take value from someone else, it's so important to forward it. It's so important to share it with another person because you keep the cycle of reciprocity going in your life, right? Of receiving, giving, and then receiving, and you just have that cycle going in your life, right? So thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you in the next episode. And as a reminder, I believe in you and your infinite potential.